NVIDIA avoided some of the downturn the other chip names did. But on the back of that sell-off in the chip space, is this a buying opportunity? And does it matter what names you buy, or is this simply an ETF buy? Would you buy the ETF, the SMH?
No, I think you got to be selective, Frank. I think there's still some very attractive valuations out there, that names like Western Digital, where people are ignoring the fact that they're going to split into two companies, and NAND inventories are at 4-year lows. So there's companies that are going to be benefits of the inflation trends we're seeing, like Western Digital and Micron. And then there's other companies where maybe they're going to see a little bit more of a pressure on their earnings because of inflation now.
All right. So you're mentioning some pressure on earnings and inflation. One area of inflation that's really impacting chip stocks and other parts of tech is commodity inflation. I'm just looking year to date. Copper moving to the upside, double digits. Silver also moving higher. Aluminum up just under 5%. How does that change, or does it change your thesis when it comes to some of these chip stocks, this rising inflation when it comes to commodities that are key to production?
You know, it depends on the company for sure. So there's companies that will use copper and gold and silver in their production, like a company like TE Connectivity or Aptiv, but they've been managing through that for years. There's other more challenging areas where you're talking about new fab construction costs that have gone up a lot year over year, or just transitioning to a new fab technology in general is more expensive and creates supply constraints. So it really depends on the company. I think in general, because of what's going on in AI, you're seeing what I've been calling competitive procurement, which means everyone has to get in and is worried about availability again on certain products. And that's creating opportunities for these companies to benefit more than less from inflation.
Okay, but you say inflation is also impacting, I guess, their customers, whether it comes to data center build out and other things like that. Does that impact your outlook on these different chip stocks?
Yeah, so one of the things that's interesting is we think AI spending has been crowding out some spending on traditional enterprise spending. And as that has happened, it's slowed down sort of a recovery in certain CapEx areas, especially with interest rates so high. So things like industrial, traditional enterprise data center, broadband spending outdoors has been slow to recover these last several months. Okay. It's going to happen, but as we head into earnings season, we think maybe the slope will be a little bit disappointing. And part of that is due to inflation and higher rates and things like that.
Got it. So, Stephen, you actually came with some picks for us. One of them you already mentioned, Western Digital, but the other one's Flex, not a chip name. It's actually a contract manufacturer. Kind of got some recognition a few years ago for manufacturing for Apple. Why is this a name that you're bullish on when it comes to tech and the chip space?
Yeah, so it's everything but Apple now. For Flex, I think you can look at companies like Flex and Jabil, or Benchmark for that matter, which is a small cap name. But in general speaking, you're seeing, because of what's going on with nearshoring, which is a trend that's going to continue if you just pick up the paper every day and look at the global politics of the world, companies like Flex have massive footprints all over the world. They're able to shift production for major OEMs very quickly from, say, out of China or in Asia to being more global and localized in Europe and the US. And then you layer on that a lot of their internal capabilities around things like power for data centers, and and also auto technologies. They're having a very good win rate on new programs. And then you factor in the idea that they're only trading at 12 or 13 times earnings with great cash flow.
Got it.
It's a chicken way to play all
Stephen?
these tech.